both Curtis Tipton and Aaron LaFaro. We have our chamber group here at COSCOB with our visitors from North Street. So I'm going to turn it over to Aaron and to Curtis. Thank you all.
Before we start, I want to acknowledge a wonderful person. Ms. Melvinagas, please stand up. She's our pianist. And we're only going to play 2 songs today. The first song we're going to play is the theme from the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast. We hope you enjoy it.
play is called Dragon Hunter.
Coscoff Chamber Group, and their director, Curtis Tippin, who did a wonderful job. And a very special thanks to Philip Brown and the Coscoff School for once again opening the doors of this beautiful facility to host the award ceremony. Good afternoon. I am Dora Williams, and I have had the privilege of chairing the Distinguished Teacher Committee this year. And I'm very excited because this is our 20th year. It's our 20th anniversary. I am pleased to welcome the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Ledrick, the Vice Chairman of the Board of Education, Susan Anderson, State Senator Bill Nickerson, and members of the Board of Education. Please allow me to take a few minutes to recognize other individuals who have been instrumental in this award program. First, a thank you to the donors, whose generous contributions make this annual award and its accompanying cycling possible. Their names are listed in your program. The Distinguished Teacher Award Committee is a community organization composed of 2 representatives each from the Board of Education, GOSA, GEA, and the PTA, as well as 8 members of the community at large. The committee has worked enthusiastically, diligently, and thoughtfully throughout the year. With the members of the committee, please stand. Cheerfully and efficiently supported by Kim Eves. Kim, where are you? From the Communications. Thank you all so much. Excellence in education requires an effective partnership between the community, the parents, the Board of Education, the administrators, the teachers, and the students. All elements must be focused on the critical factor of student learning. Here in Greenwich, we are truly blessed by having an informed community, involved and caring parents, a Board of Education committed to excellence, and learned and dedicated administrators. However, as you will hear today, the teachers are at the heart of the effort. These teachers have developed a mutual trust and partnership with their students and all other components required to achieve excellence in education. In 1984, the Distinguished Teacher Award was created to honor and celebrate the outstanding, dedicated, and multi-talented faculty of the Greenwich Public Schools. We are here to celebrate 6 teachers who have been an inspiration to their students and peers, who have set the highest standards of academic excellence for their students and for themselves, and who have eagerly reached out and gone the extra mile for their students, the parents, the school, and the community. Today, we also honor all of you who are part of the education profession. The Greenwich Public School system is truly fortunate to have an outstanding group of teachers. I would like to speak briefly about the selection process. Each committee member votes independently, and the finalists are selected without discussion. The decisions are based solely on the outstanding credentials of the nominees that relate to the 9 criteria listed in the nomination packet. Although only 6 are recognized, it is truly a great honor to be nominated. At this time, I would like to introduce Senator Nickerson, who would like to offer his congratulations.
What a thrill for you to invite me to stand on the same platform with those people who have in the palm of their hand every morning the most important thing in the town of Greenwich, our children. What a thrill for me to be able to recognize the very best of the very best, who have the challenge and the ability and such success in molding the hearts and souls and minds of our children. I won't tell you how old I am, but I'll give you a hint. I was in the 3rd grade 58 years ago. And I see right before me, right now, Miss Valentine, as a tall, wonderful, demanding lady who taught me, and believe me, that was a challenge. And it tells me that all throughout this school system are Miss Valentines, who are teaching children today, and who 68 years later will remember what she looked like, how she spoke, how she inspired them, what they learned from her. And today, we have the very best, to continue that metaphor, of the very best Miss Valentine's, whose every word is imparted to students who will absorb that, move to other grades, move on into life, and never forget the outstanding experience they had at Greenwich Public Schools. So before we give any awards, let me ask you to join me in a standing ovation to all our awardees. Don't they deserve every bit of it? Thanks very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. These distinguished teachers, along with the award recipients of the past 20 years, represent a continuum of excellence and achievement of which we are all very proud. Will all former award winners in the audience please stand? Dr. Lever would like to offer his congratulations.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams, and thank you, members of the Greenwich Distinguished Teachers Award Committee, for the time and investment that you have made to select this group of 6 teachers who represent, as Senator Nickerson stated, the best of the best. It is also appropriate to thank the nominators who were involved in this process and all of those who helped to ensure that this group of teachers were presented in the most favorable light. It's amazing the number of outstanding, distinguished teachers who are not joined with the 6 on the stage. If I were to nominate 2 based upon today, it would be those 2 music teachers who got that. I am forever impressed with what our children are able to do. And while we recognize that there are a lot of people who are important to that process of teaching and learning, none is more important than the teacher in the classroom. It is very, very clear that while there may be important roles for boards of education, for superintendents, for central office administrators, for principals in schools, for parents in homes, the most significant influence on the development of a learner is the classroom teacher. I know that this group of 6 men and women represent the teachers of Greenwich who each day in their classrooms exert the power and influence to ensure that every child achieves the district mission of maximizing their potential, their academic potential, and grow into the kind of creative, responsible, and productive citizens that we need to make our community work and that we need to make our society better. Congratulations to the group who are before us today, and thank you to all the teachers in Greenwich who every day make our schools the excellent schools that they are. Thank you.
It's time to meet our newest class. The nominators will be introducing the teachers. Our first introduction will be led by Gina Modica, and our first distinguished teacher is Mary Fike.
Good afternoon. My name is Gina Modica, and I'm a parent at Old Greenwich School. I am honored and simply thrilled today to be here to introduce Mary Fike. Mary's our music teacher, but like all of these honorees, she is much more than her title might suggest. There is a physical quality to Mary Fike's energy. It is tangible and it envelops you completely before you know that you've been swept up in it. There is something infectious and absolutely inescapable about her love of music. Children feel it and respond to it, as do adults. She gives the gift of music with unbounded generosity and enthusiasm. She sees and comments on the positive, the potential, the talent, the hard work, the skill, and the dedication of her students. She is completely selfless and never shines the spotlight on herself. She's completely selfless and quickly credit her students for the success of all productions. Never ever does she shine the spotlight on herself, though she is the central and most pivotal role figure in the musical world of Old Greenwich, both the school and the community. I cannot comment on the individual experiences of every child at Old Greenwich School. I can only say with certainty that Mary Fike has taken my two relatively unmusical daughters, except for the one that's here, and made them into lovers of music, performers of music, and believers in the positive impact of music on the human condition. I fully expect that she will do the same with my similarly unmusical son. I can further state with great conviction that Mary commands the respect and admiration of every student she teaches. It is simply impossible to pull off fall and spring chorus band and orchestra concerts, an original 5th grade play, a Memorial Day parade march, an opening day performance, a graduation performance, volunteer and teacher appreciation events, Arbor Day and Veterans Day performances, a kindergarten play, a 4th grade Thanksgiving play, and to lead the band in our Halloween parade down the middle of Sound Beach Avenue without the respectful cooperation of every child involved therein. Before, during, and after regular school hours, Mary teaches music classes, gives instrument lessons, leads the band in the chorus, and is an endless source of extra help and encouragement for any child who needs it. Mary Fike is a dynamo in Old Greenwich, and so many of her activities blur the line between school and community. During the holiday season, Mary leads the chorus and song, decked out in red Santa hats, during the evening of First Night, when all the merchants open their stores to offer music, snack, and holiday cheer. She also leads a caroling trip to the village, stopping to sing in every shop. On 2 occasions, I have been in town when the carols came in. Once in the food mart, where they caroled a child vegetables to dairy, and once in a hair salon, where I was not yet looking my best, to my daughter's dismay. There is nothing like singing young faces to bring a joyful smile to folks going about their busy December lives. Mary teaches the kids that the merchants and the village support our school community, and that this is one way to give back to them. Every year we see Mary compete in the Todd's Jug around the point. We see her perform in the fire department band every time they play. We see her at the symphony and at the live performances Sunday afternoon at First Church. She sings in the adult choir at First Church and has taught the charity choir for many years. We think she plays the flute like an angel, but most importantly, she plays it with such joy and generosity that her impact is much deeper than the music itself. I recently ran into a former Old Greenwich family that relocated first to Scotland and then to New Zealand several years ago. They were in town for the afternoon because their oldest daughter, Kirsty, had emailed Mary about seeing her for a flute lesson. This now 17-year-old young woman had transported her flute around the world for the privilege of playing the flute for an hour with Mary Fike. That is an enduring and meaningful impact on a kid's life. Across time and continents, Mary has that kind of impact. It gives me great joy to bring Mary Fike to this podium. Please join me in welcoming her to the ranks of Greenwich Distinguished Teachers.
Thank you very much, Gina. And I would like to thank the many people who have made it possible for me to receive this award. First of all, thanks to Doug Finelli. He hired me and supported me wonderfully at Old Greenwich School. In the years since Marge Sherman became principal at Old Greenwich School, I have received more wonderful support from her. Both of these people have shown tremendous faith in my ability to be a good teacher and have consequently allowed me a great deal of creative freedom. Thanks also to Jeffrey Spector, who has shepherded the music department through a difficult period of curriculum and test writing, and continues to provide stimulating staff development workshops to help us grow as teachers. Of course, I would not be standing here receiving this award without the 4 women who nominated me. To Sally Grimm, Gina Modica, Julie Gibeon, and Lisa Berry, I give great thanks. I appreciate the faith you have had in me and the work you have done in my behalf. In fact, I need to thank all the parents and teachers of Old Greenwich School who have given me so much encouragement and support over the years. And finally, I thank my family members who wait in line for my time and attention. As for myself, some days I truly believe that I am a good teacher, and on those days I am full of energy. I teach with wonderful calm and a gentle, nurturing spirit. I help every child feel safe and happy in my classroom, and every child sings and dances with joy. And then there are those days when I struggle to be even half the teacher that I want to be. I can only say that I am always doing my best, and I pray every day for help in this job, which is so important, so challenging, and so fulfilling. I thank you very much for this recognition award.
Now, Amy Bedini, a parent, will introduce our second distinguished teacher, Diane Garofalo.
Good afternoon, everyone, committee members, parents, teachers, students. It is my sincerest pleasure to introduce Diane Garofalo to you today. I first met Diane in 2001 when my oldest son, Luke, had her for first grade. I'm lucky, my son Jack is lucky this year to have her. And I say that I'm lucky because not only is Diane a good fit for my children, she's a good fit for me. She's enthusiastic, outgoing, and personable. These qualities are important to me as a parent because she's the kind of person you feel comfortable approaching if you have any concerns about your child. She makes you feel that we're all working on the same team to see our children succeed. Diane's enthusiasm blends naturally into her teaching. She understands that children learn best when the information is personally relevant. Please let me give you an example. Knowing that my son Jack and another in school play hockey, she constructed the following math problem. Jack and Kaylin were playing hockey. Jack has 12 beautiful teeth. Kaylin shot the puck at Jack's head, knocking out 3 of his teeth. How many teeth did Jack have left? Not only did the children learn the mathematical concept, they enjoyed the process. Bottom line, children have fun learning in Diane's class. She's able to empower each student in very small group settings to question, listen, and learn from one another. She gives them the keys to questions, resources throughout the classroom and school, and without telling them the answer, she allows them to unlock the mysteries at their own speed and ability. This search for answers has led many children into a whole new understanding of the world and a constant hunger to learn. Diane's understanding of the subject matter as it relates to her class is very apparent in her ability to provide several different examples or executions of a particular lesson. This capacity is critical when trying to reach each individual in her classroom depending on his or her learning style. Whether in a group setting or on an individual basis, Diane continues to lead her students down the road to become lifelong critical thinkers. From her own love of learning to the love of learning she instills in her students, Diane Garofalo is well deserving of being one of Greenwich's distinguished teachers.
Amy Bedini and your son, who has an excellent memory, apparently, Dr. Leverett, and all the wonderful families and friends who made the extraordinary effort to park today and come here and support all of us. I've attended this ceremony for as long as I can remember, and every year I leave amazed by the list of accomplishments I hear about my fellow teachers and wondering how they do it. This year, I've had time to reminisce in the last few days about 3 distinguished teachers that 3 of my own children have had the pleasure to have, Mary, Jean, and Patrick. And I knew that as a parent, I immediately recognized their relentless energy, contagious enthusiasm, and depth of caring. And that made me see that the answer lies with so many other Greenwich Public Schools school teachers who have touched the lives of my children. I'd like to thank my daughter's first grade teacher, who turned a reluctant reader into an avid reader by sending home her personal copies of American Girl books, this from a mother of 2 boys, and promised my daughter fun activities when she returned from vacation. I'd like to thank my daughter's second grade teacher who invited her for a sleepover. Now, how many teachers you know who want an extra child at home at the end of the week? And my daughter spent the night with her 3 daughters playing Monopoly till midnight and having a dinner and a night that she'll always remember. I'd like to thank my daughter's chemistry teacher last year, who insisted that my dyslexic daughter would be wonderful in AP Chem this year. And she worked tirelessly, Sophia, your daughter, no names, okay, to work with her, giving her practice sheets tirelessly to boost her confidence and continues today to be available for her. My daughter's AP Chemistry teacher, who this year just happened to hang out at the Greenwich Public Library on a cold January Sunday and invited the whole class to come and spend a few hours reviewing for the midterm with her. My son's junior English teacher, who saw him as a stressed out senior, stopped him in the hallway, looked him in the eye and said, "Just breathe. You can do whatever you need to do. Believe in yourself." And because he loved and respected his teacher so much, it meant the world to him, and he quotes her to this day. A middle school teacher who stopped my son in the hall who had no intention of ever going on stage said, "Don't worry, talk to your guidance counselor, it's all set, you're in the musical, see you on stage, you'll love it, bye." To 2 teachers at Eastern who heard that our house had been robbed, my daughters had lost their jewelry and cash, and on their own went out and bought them beautiful gifts. And maybe my favorite, the teacher took me aside when my son was very young and said, "I have a book you have to read. It's called The Difficult Child. And it's in preparation for your son's career in the Greenwich Public Schools." And when he fell during rest time in kindergarten, tripping over a blanket and needed stitches, we thought, okay, we're in for a long haul here. I want to thank all these teachers who touched my children's lives, who looked at them, cared enough to make a difference, and saw something in them that even I didn't see. Thanks to my 4 children, Brett, Lindsay, Kelly, and Megan, who mean the world to me, and with my husband Chris, my best team support, and allow me to nurture at home and practice that back at school. I love to teach. I'm passionate about every time I walk in the class and see those beautiful children with their enthusiasm and trust and curiosity in their faces. It's an awesome opportunity, and I thank my precious students who have taught me so much to never underestimate the power of a 6-year-old, to only expect the unexpected, and if you really want to laugh and enjoy life, look at it with the wide-eyed wonder of a first grader. I can't thank my teammates enough through the ages, with Beth and Martha and Jane and my current teammates for the last 5 years in fun. I am still amazed that every week when we meet, we start our meetings saying things like, "I was up all weekend worrying about Johnny and I couldn't sleep last night worrying about Jamie," and your compassion and your passion for what you do keeps me going, and your ever-ending quest to do better and do more for your students is what makes you so wonderful. I want to thank Doug Finelli, who hired me twice, and Terry Rickey, and everybody at ISD, my ISD family who's been with me through sickness and health and stuck by me. And I know I've tried your patience, and my ISD family has never let me down. Greenwich Public Schools has been so wonderful to my family, and family is why I'm here. My dad was a dedicated teacher for 30 years, and he instilled the love of teaching in me very early around the dinner table. And I know he'd be thrilled today. My mom came all the way from Boston on the train today to surprise me, to share that legacy. And I want to just end, you'll be glad to know, with a quote saying, as Mom always said, "Pick your friends wisely because you'll be judged by the company you keep." and I know you're delighted and proud as I am to be in the company of the Greenwich Public School teachers. Teaching is the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you.
Now, Claude Frank, an administrator, will introduce Kathy Mayo.
I want to start by adding my thank you to the distinguished teacher committee. There's a wonderful old expression, although I don't know who it is attributable to, but I like it very much. It goes like this: silent gratitude is no use to anybody. So it's a thank you to Dora Williams and Esther Bucell and the rest of this committee and this program for giving us the opportunity to not be silent, but to in fact express gratitude and appreciation for the excellence that's in front of us this afternoon. At Greenwich High School, we have this January graduation program. It's very different than the June program in that it's only about 20 or 25 students that graduate in January. So we have the opportunity to introduce each of those students and say something about them. They also have the opportunity to say a few words through us, particularly a thank you to who they appreciate. And every January on that graduation day, I refer to that as Kathy Mayo Day. Invariably, every student that Kathy Mayo's had in class wants to thank her for her work on their behalf. It's quite wonderful. Kathy is a special ed teacher, resource room teacher at Greenwich High School. And what is it that makes her outstanding? Kathy is able to understand exactly what the student needs in terms of support from her when that student arrives. She knows very well what the student needs to know in order to be a competent high school graduate and a college student or a worker. And she is able to design and implement a very careful step-by-step program to get them there. That's what she does. Kathy is also uniquely wonderful in terms of dealing with parents. She's able to talk to parents about their child's strengths and their handicaps in ways that are helpful and candid and never painful. And finally, she's extremely helpful to the rest of our team, giving us advice. And that's because she's so knowledgeable and creative. I want to read two paragraphs to you. One written by Joan Lowe as one of the nominators. Kathy's miracles are many. It is the learning disabled student who learns how to study for tests or prepare an effective outline for an essay. It is the school phobic who is visited at home by Kathy or escorted into school and then eased back into classes. It is the depressed student, overwhelmed by the demands of adolescence, who gradually becomes more confident and at ease because of Kathy's consistent care. It is the underachiever who earns better grades because Kathy has taught him how to have a conference with a teacher or better prepare for class. It is the student who finally feels understood because Kathy has really listened to him and helped him problem solve. It is the rambunctious who learns how to control behaviors because Kathy has taught self-control. It is all of her students saying over and over again through all of these years, Miss Mayo really cares. And the other paragraph I'd like to read is from parent, mother, the other nominator for Kathy Mayo. I entrusted my learning disabled daughter to Kathy Mayo for 4 years, and every single day I am grateful for her presence in our lives. Our daughter entered Greenwich High School as a fragile, shy girl, unsure of herself and lacking in self-esteem, both academically and socially. I watched as Kathy patiently won my daughter over and slowly began the process of teaching her to rely upon herself. In 9th and 10th grade, Kathy advocated for our daughter, helping her with the day-to-day challenges of trying to learn with a learning disability. Kathy would accompany her to meet with teachers, and she would ask questions about upcoming tests and essays. all the while teaching our daughter, through modeling, how to advocate for herself. By the 11th and 12th grade, our daughter had emerged from her timid shell and bore no resemblance to the reluctant child we saw early on. Kathy had taught her far more than academics. She had instilled in our daughter a deep sense of worth, the motivation to do her best, and the determination to rise above her weaknesses. And then, as my daughter became more and more independent, capable, and willing to take risks, Kathy was still there, but now in the background, cheering her on and applauding her steps toward independence. At my daughter's college interview, she stated to a total stranger that she believes she could do anything she sets her mind to. That, right there, is Kathy Mayo's legacy. And those were the words Kathy used for 4 years, that you can do anything you set your mind to. And now, they are my daughter's words.
I'd like to thank the Distinguished Teachers Committee for honoring me today, as well as my nominators, Claude Frank, my housemaster, Joan Lowe, social worker at Greenwich High School, who I work with every single day, and Leslie Anderson, a parent of one of my students. I'd also like to recognize my family, my husband Ralph, my son Sean, and my 3 daughters, Kerry, Kelly, and Ryan. They have been my on-the-job trainers. In raising them, I have learned many life lessons that I've been able to bring into the classroom. And of course, I'd like to thank the many, many children that I've had the opportunity to work with over the past 27 years. Every day, I learn something from them. They teach me lessons in courage, resilience, and compassion as they deal with the daily life at Greenwich High School. I enjoy watching them progress as they evolve into independent, confident young adults. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the staff at the Greenwich High School. When you work at some place for a really long time, you start taking things for granted, and you lose perspective. We sometimes need to be reminded of how outstanding our colleagues are. For me, this reminder came last year when I overheard a conversation with my daughter, who had just recently transferred to Greenwich High School, speaking to one of her friends who had asked her what her new school was like. She responded by telling her friends that the teachers were organized, there was respect in the classroom, and they actually enjoyed teaching. Her final revelation was that they seemed to really care if you were learning, and if you were having trouble, they would go out of their way to help you. She paused. She looked at her friend and she said, "I know it's weird. I guess you really have to be there to understand." Well, you know, I am there, and I do understand what she's saying. Thanks again for this recognition.
Marilyn Stewart, a parent, will introduce our 4th distinguished teacher, Jean Schmidt.
Thank you. I'm Marilyn Adelberg. Before I talk about Jean, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my husband Stuart for writing the actual nominators letter that I'm sure clinched the award for Jean. Stuart speaks a lot, and I always tell him, make sure you thank me, so I had to do that. It has been my pleasure to work closely with Jean Schmidt this year as class mother for his fourth grade class at ISD. I have been extremely lucky to see some of the behind-the-scenes activities in his classroom that other parents have unfortunately not been privy to. Jean's passion for teaching and his pure concern for the education and welfare of every student in his class is evident in his sometimes out-of-the-box teaching style. Taxing students for everything they used on a particular school day was the way they learned about the Stamp Act and the American Revolution. Not taken well by the students, shouts of "Down with Schmidt" were heard all around the school. Did the kids learn about the Stamp Act and what it meant? Absolutely, and most definitely a lesson they will never forget. Student-led report card conferences, weekly auctions, personal checking accounts in the 4th grade, definitely in Gene Schmidt's class. These are only a few examples of his creative teaching style, but the list could go on and on and on. We know that not every teacher approaches education the way that Gene Schmidt does, but we also know that the curiosity, love of learning, and sense of personal responsibility that he has instilled in our son Jesse and his classmates, many of whom are sitting out here today, is a gift they will take with them into every future classroom. Thank you, Gene. You are our hero.
I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank a few people. Doug, you're the most popular, what can I tell you? Doug Finelli for taking a chance and hiring my wife and myself by phone while we were still teaching in Italy, and allowing me to have my dream of working in an IB school. Terry Rickey for continuing Doug's vision and supporting and encouraging me in my love of learning by providing me with opportunities for my own professional growth. My dynamic colleagues, you are all distinguished teachers, especially Eugene and Elaine, my teammates, their support and collaboration, you're the best. Marilyn, Stuart, and Jesse for their help and their support, along with the rest of my students and parents. We are all a team in this together. My children and my mother-in-law for having encouraged me in my choices, even though it meant uprooting and moving thousands of miles away and sometimes to other countries. And finally, to my wife, who's been my mentor, my inspiration, my sounding board, my partner in teaching and in life. Thank you, Angela. In preparing for this, I asked my students, past and present, to reflect on what they thought of me as a teacher, and their comments meant as much to me as this award. I wanted to share a few of them. We love him. He's always funny and a good guy. Has artistic talent and creative ideas. Teaches differently, and unique. Makes boring subjects fun and still teaches us at the same time. Thoughtful and caring. Tells funny stories of his life and family, and they're about math, science, reading, social studies, and other things. Always has a joke to tell or a smile to share. I would like to leave you with a few of my own thoughts. Model intellectual curiosity, and the students will wonder. Responsibility extends beyond the walls of our classrooms and even our country. Self-reflection helps to develop thoughtful, caring, and insightful people. Set the bar high and accept nothing less. The students will reach your expectations, they may even exceed them. Create a caring, nurturing environment, and students will become the risk takers who value others. Thank you.
Allison Allerton, a colleague, will introduce our 5th distinguished teacher, Patrick Taylor.
Good afternoon. It's a tremendous honor to be introducing to you Distinguished Teacher Award finalist Patrick Taylor. I have known Patrick since I started teaching music in the Greenwich Public Schools in 2001. And it didn't take me long to realize that he, as the Greenwich High School Chorus Director, is, in my opinion, the greatest asset the school district possesses. For the past 3.5 years, Patrick has been an inspiration to me as I've had the pleasure to watch him teach and be a part of his choral performances. But putting my own gratefulness for everything he has taught me aside, the gift he is giving to the students he teaches at Greenwich High School is far greater. He teaches his students to sing correct notes with proper vocal technique as any vocal music teacher would, But more importantly, he encourages his students to express that music with great maturity and depth of emotion that one would not expect to hear from a high school ensemble. The result is 4 concerts a year at which audiences are awed beyond words, moved to tears, and compelled to jump enthusiastically out of their seats with a standing ovation. And through this great experience, the students are given memories of unforgettable performances and a lifelong love for music and for singing that they will pass on for generations to come. Patrick, thank you for all you do to inspire your colleagues, the community, and your students. You are more than deserving of this award. It has been a privilege to work with you and to introduce you here today. Patrick Taylor.
I actually wanted to become a choir director, a high school choir director, when I was a sophomore in high school and had the opportunity one day to conduct my choir when I sang it. And I was lucky enough to get a position as a high school choral director right out of college, which I think is somewhat unusual. And as a result, after doing that for 10 or 11 years, I kind of got a little antsy and ached for a change. So in 1999, I decided to leave teaching in order to pursue the life of a freelance musician in New York City. But soon after I resigned my position at Wilton High School, and before I had even moved, some darkness fell into my personal life, and suddenly the wind was out of my sails, and I no longer had the energy or the confidence to try and take New York by storm. And around the same time, I casually mentioned to my parents that the choir director position at Greenwich High School was open, but that I still had my mind set on trying something new. And as the days went on, I found myself stuck in a dark place. I received a call from my father. He asked me to give some serious thought to applying for the Greenwich position as a means of helping me regain my perspective and my lost ambition. I resisted the idea for a while before I began to see the brilliant logic of what my father was suggesting. He was really saying, go back and do what you know you can do well and begin to put the pieces of your life back together. Then if you still want to, go chase your dream. So I applied for and happily was given the Greenwich job. And what I thought would be a temporary stopover turned out to be the 6 most satisfying years of my career. And there is no end in sight, which proves yet again that father really does know best. I'd like to thank Dora Williams and the award committee. I can only imagine how hard it must be to sift through piles of nominations of so many talented and dedicated teachers in our district, and to have risen to the top of that pile is indeed quite an honor. I would like to thank Allison Allerton for putting the time and effort into nominating me for this award. She has begun quite the distinguished teaching career of her own, and it won't be long before she's up here standing here as a recipient. Thanks also to Sandy Waters and Jeff Spector for writing beautiful letters on my behalf. Thank you to my colleagues in the Greenwich High School Music Department for providing daily inspiration and for keeping things, well, lively and unpredictable in the department. Thanks also to the GHS administrative team for giving me the freedom to change and expand the choral program over the years. And of course, I wouldn't be here today without the hundreds of students who have passed through my doors. I am grateful for their willingness to let me lead them toward new things. I'd like to thank my family and friends for being there through all the ups and downs, and for being here today to share this tremendous honor with me. And finally, I thank my late father, whose wisdom and perfectly timed advice led me to the best choral directing job on earth. And in the end, there was no need to chase my dream because I'm already living it. Thank you.
Mary Ann Zalman will introduce our 6th distinguished teacher, Julie Wong.
I have known Julie Wong over the past 10 years, first as an elementary school teacher at the Lebanon School, and now as a middle school 7th grade math teacher at Western. I'd like to thank her for all the children whose lives she has touched. She is a leader in the school community, with her fellow teachers, with the administration, and with the children. She is academically superb and has high expectations for herself and for her students to the best of their ability, and gives them every opportunity to achieve those goals and to go beyond those goals. And she does so in creative, caring ways. She's always there for the students. Erica Tillinghast, a high school student and former student of Miss Moss, who I quoted in my nomination letter, says it best. A teacher is supposed to be a person who helps children learn to their best ability and tries hard to make a student feel comfortable so that they can perform to their potential. Ms. Wong has affected my life in ways no other teacher has. In a way, she has shaped me into the person that I am. So it is my great honor to introduce Julie Wong.
I'd like to thank the Distinguished Teachers Committee, Dr. Leverett, Board of Ed, my husband Calvin, my friends and colleagues for sharing in this moment with me. It was almost 11 years ago to this date that I had my first job interview here at Koskov School with several principals. Thanks to Carol Sarabin, I was able to find a professional home for 6 years at New Lebanon, where veteran teachers like Distinguished Teacher Sarah Riley and fellow novice teacher Karen Walsh shared their knowledge and experiences with me. This was where I first learned that parent-teacher relationships were not only crucial, but rewarding. Thank you, Mary Ann Nassing, Angie Lucas, and many others for your long-standing support and friendship. New Lebanon was also where I first had the honor of teaching incredibly driven students like Erica Tillinghast, who will be graduating from Greenwich High School next month. To my good fortune, Don Strange welcomed me at Western Middle School 5 years ago to teach 7th grade mathematics. Having taught 4 grade levels, I was given a second, third, and sometimes a fourth chance to teach some of my former students and renew my relationships with their parents. These were unforgettable experiences. Each year, Western Middle School gives me all the reasons I need to stay in the teaching profession. The leadership, the staff, a personal thank you to Kimberly Steinhorn, Jennifer Lindberg, and the 7th grade team, the parent community, and of course the students, especially the students. Thank you.
Almost over. I would like at this time to introduce the Board of Education Vice Chairman, Susan Anderson.
Thank you. I would first like to, on behalf of the board, thank Mrs. Williams and all of the members of the Distinguished Teachers Committee for all the work that they do to make this wonderful event happen and to select from a very large and difficult group of people, the wonderful distinguished teachers we have here today. On behalf of the town of Greenwich, I would like the distinguished teachers to please accept my sincere congratulations. I would also like to express the gratitude of the community to you and to all of your colleagues for the wonderful work you do. Not only in teaching our children the skills and the knowledge they need to go forward and be successful communicators and problem solvers and music lovers, but also for developing in them our community values. Each day with the words you speak, the behaviors you model, and the lessons you give, you transfer not only the values of an excellent education, but you also transfer the values of hard work, integrity, responsibility to your community, tolerance and respect for other cultures and for others' opinions. Last week I attended a dialogue on community values, which Dr. Leverett was one of the sponsors of, and Attorney General Richard Blumenthal was one of the panelists. I thought he made a good point when he said it's important not only to say you have values, but to live those values. And too often he sees, and we see also, evidence in our political and business leaders where they say they have values, but the evidence isn't always there, or it appears to be otherwise. But by the work you do, and your colleagues do, the way you do it, you live according to your values, and children of our community benefit so much from it. So please accept the thanks for the important work you do as the excellent teacher you are in the Greenwich Public School System.
It is such a joy to celebrate represent. Congratulations to each of you. You have ignited an excitement for learning in the lives you have touched, and you have given your students the capacity to make a better tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us in this wonderful celebration. And this is it.